Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Loving the Game. I'm your host, Jock, from Yellow Cap Sports, and tonight I've got another lady that's joining us for a change, which is great. Cato Louw, all the way in Cape Town tonight. Oh, there goes my phone. Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, the comments are coming in. Yeah, I love it.
How are you doing, Cato?
No, I'm good. It really got cold now. It's like flip the switch. So we are in winter now here in Cape Town. But no, it's going lekker. It's a bit weird times. But I mean, I guess by this time we've kind of settled into lockdown and all of that. So yeah, we're going on. Ons gaan maar aan, soos hulle sê.
Yeah. Cato, it's nice having you on the show. And
thanks for having me, Doc. My skimper het gewerk.
Yes. Yeah, finally it worked. Listen, I must say, I mean, there's nothing against women or anything. I mean, they're just so far and few between.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem, especially when it comes to sport. And I think it's something we'll definitely touch on tonight. Because, but I mean, just to get things started off, both you and I are fortunate enough to work at SuperSport.
Yeah.
You're a presenter. I'm an editor, so one in front of the camera, one behind the scenes. It's quite interesting, and for a change, you're on the other side of the questions for a change as well.
It's very weird.
Yeah, it was quite funny this
because
morning.
It's like yeah?
No, when you said this morning, you're quite nervous. I was like,
yes.
No, man, come on, seriously. How can you be nervous?
Because it's weird, because now, you come up with questions and you get to know the person you're interviewing, but then now suddenly it's you. Now you have to come up with answers, which is difficult. So Boy, let's see what comes out of this.
No, I'm sure it's going to be fun. Cato, let's start off. It's so hard to ask someone this question nowadays because we're all in lockdown, and most of the people that know you are aware of the fact that you are a radio presenter and a TV presenter. But just give us a little bit of a background who Cato Louw is at this stage in life.
At this stage in life, I'm lucky to still be able to do some sports anchoring for radio on Cape Talk and KFM, which is awesome. At least there is still sport, because now obviously we're getting behind the business of it, like logistics, how's it going to work? Even player transfers are happening. Very interesting, like cricket, they're okay because their summer was basically done anyway. So that's quite interesting. Like you'd assume all sports are screwed, but anyway. Cricket is, they'll be fine. But it's been very interesting to work in this time. I've been delving into lots of like inspiring moments that connected me with sport, that made me love sport. So sharing that with everyone, because I think during this time, everyone's a bit sentimental and nostalgic. So that's been quite fun to go down memory lane. But my love for sport, I grew up in an Afrikaans family. I mean, rugby was a given. Saturdays, a braaitjie, a viertjie, a biertjie, and some rugby. It was like just part of life. So my dad, we're three girls, so my dad didn't have a boy. So, but it didn't really matter. Like if we liked sport, if he watched, he's an explainer. He likes he's a professor in philosophy, so he wanted to explain. So if someone had a question, we would answer, and you would actually be like, ek so spyt ek het nou gevra, because then it will go on for the next hour. A philosophy of a scrum. Just ask to below. You'll be engaged for the next 5 weeks probably. But so if we had questions, we could ask. And I think it just connected me, or why I specifically stuck with rugby specifically, is because I could see how much fun it was around a fire to chat about the post-match, pre-match, build-up, just to chat about it, to connect over it. And then, of course, 2007 happened. I think I was in grade 9. It was awesome, but I didn't feel the impact like I did last year, like 2019. So, I mean, now I'm glad I stuck with it, because now we were in the mix and part of it. So that was very cool. But it's actually a cliche, growing up in a white Afrikaans family and loving rugby. It was kind of part of it. So that's where. And then made my way to Stellenbosch University, where I studied at Marty's sports science, because you see, I saw Renee Naylor, the physiotherapist of the Springboks, in 2007. I saw this woman running out in the field, and I was like, there's a woman part of a team that is at this level. And I could not believe it. So I immediately connected in terms of mentally connected with her. I was like, that's the job I want. I want to be flown around with the guys. I want to work part of it, be in the mix, be an integral part of the team. So I decided I want to become the physiotherapist for the Springboks. Funny story, actually. My mom was in PE once, and Percy Montgomery just released his book. So he had a book signing in Port Elizabeth. I wasn't with my mom. I think I was still at school, but anyway, so she decided for her daughter, she doesn't care for rugby, whatever. She's like, I'm going to do this. She bought the book, stood in the queue, and then she told Percy, no, my daughter wants to become the physiotherapist of the Springboks.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? You don't tell people that. And then in the book, he actually wrote, I hope to see you with the Springboks one day as physio. And then he signed it Percy Montgomery. I still have that. And I was like so embarrassed when my mom told me that, but I was very chuffed. And, I had Percy's signature. But yeah, so it's been quite an interesting journey. So I wanted to become the physiotherapist for the Springboks, but now I ended up just talking about them. So, even Steven.
I was gonna ask you now on that point. I mean, you went to Marty's, as you mentioned, and what did you actually study?
So I started with a BSc in sports science. I didn't get in for physiotherapy because it's.
So you were actually going for it?
I was actually going for it. I took Skynat and biology and hoërgraad wiskunde all to get into the medical field of. I was adamant. Ek was die domste in die slim klas, if that makes sense. And I was happy with that. I was happy to work hard. I was happy with that because I could have a bit of gees. I could get away with it. I don't have to be like in front of the books the whole time. But I didn't get in for physiotherapy with the aim to maybe try the next year. So I started with BSc sports science. And then I actually heard of biokinetics, which was quite a new field at the time, which biokineticus also travels or is also with the team to an extent. So I was like, cool, well, let me try that. I like that part. So I started that. I completed 1 year. And then I think, the BSc was a bit too much for Cato Louw at that moment. The wiskunde in die chemie was a bit too much. So I went back to East London for a year, worked actually at a gym because I wanted to keep up with the sports side of things. And then I came back and just did a diploma in sports science at ETA at Stellenbosch. So they basically sort of work with Marties, but I am a Martie because I am, obviously.
The big rivalry of note.
Big rivalry.
Yeah. Listen, and you mentioned you 3 sisters. What does your other 2 sisters do?
My middle sister is actually a veterinary nurse in Pretoria. She studied at Onderstepoort, but she's also busy with accounting stuff. Like, good luck to her. Eerder sy as ek. And then my younger sister is at the moment actually studying in Stellenbosch, but she's on lockdown here with me because otherwise she would have been on her own at in Stellies, which is a ghost town at the moment. But she's doing like a BA. I'm not exactly sure what, but she's doing that. She's doing well.
Oh, that's great.
So none of them are doing sports stuff, but they're all very competitive. We're all very, very competitive.
In what? Well, just in general.
Oh, just everything. I need to have the best clothes. If we ever play in a netball team together, I need to beat you. Very competitive.
Oh, that's really, really nice. Tell me, Cato, you've rumbled through like half of my questions literally in one
answer.
I'm
so sorry, you see.
No, that's fine.
Let's indulge. Let's go back wine drink.
Yeah, I can watch. But ek moet die vraag vra vir dat. So, let's go back again,
Yes.
So you said that you basically fell in love with the game through, your father basically introducing you and talking your ears off your head about all the different stuff, and which is great because obviously, you struck a nerve that worked, and it's gone through. And who do you I don't want to say who do you support now, but when you started feeling something for rugby, who did you support? Have you always supported the same team, or have you changed the legions along the line?
Yeah, well, I had to. I'm from the Eastern Cape, and there we've got the Border Bulldogs, and then later on we had the Kings. But I didn't. when I started watching rugby, like obviously fiercely, it was all about the Springboks, obviously. I don't think, because my dad didn't really have an allegiance with a specific team. He was just interested in sport. He was very interested in the psychology and the mental toughness aspects of it. So I always watched it as a whole and not necessarily a team. But that quickly changed because I'm competitive and I like to have a side and I like to banter with people and I like to win. And so that quickly changed. Actually, when I came to Stellenbosch, I think is the first real team I supported was Marty's, and then kind of automatically it was the Western Province Stormers, sort of automatically. But I mean, it sounds a cliche, but I supported rugby as a whole rather than a team up until that point, till I had someone I could maybe aanklank kon vind, if I can say it that way.
Yeah. And any players at that stage? I mean, at that stage, you didn't know you were going to go into television or radio.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So you were just like one of the rest of us, if I can call it that, just a fan. Look, I mean, it's very strange asking a lady these kind of questions, but I mean, were there any players that stood out for you from a playing perspective, or were you like one of the typical girls in that, at that stage, like, oh yeah, I like Moy, and you
and then you support him. I think it was a bit of both. In the start, but then obviously when you get to know the game, like you get to know, I don't know, art or fashion or I don't know, whatever field you are in, or freaking accounting, you become a fan of things, and you know the better something works, the more you like it, and the more the more I got involved with the intricate details of the game, I would say I moved more to the actual how are they playing side than the look side, but it was always a bit of both. I had a huge crush on Pierre Spies. That was my first, I think, rugby crush, was Pierre Spies, without a doubt. I just thought an eighth man was the perfect package, like in terms of, you had to be incredibly strong, you had to run fast, you make a line break, get in those tackles. It was just, I think he was the complete eighth man. For me, was a complete rugby player. So I was always a fan of the position eighth man, and then it happened to be this god that is Pierre Spies. And then later on, I was a big fan of Juan Smith. I just loved his work ethic. I think also his humbleness. He just went there and did his thing, man. And he looked like a team guy. And you always need that guy. And I really was a fan of Juan Smith. I also liked John Smith as a leader. Obviously, he led to a Rugby World Cup title. So, I mean, that probably helped. But I liked him I think it was more holistically I looked at a player. And I think that's why I liked John Smith and Juan Smith. And then Pierre Spies was a bit of both.
I was just about to say John Smith was definitely not because of the looks, surely.
Oh, shame. Shame.
Listen, I probably just closed the door on if I wanted to do an interview with John Smith.
Sorry, John Smith.
You hopefully never see this interview. Anyway, it wasn't meant that in that bad way.
No, not at all.
No.
There's a hooker and then there's an eighth man, and there's a difference.
Or
exactly. A flanker,
And then, okay, so I mean, you took us through the whole story of wanting to become a physiotherapist. That it unfortunately never happened.
Yeah.
Stuck around to try and become a biokineticist.
A tongue twister. Take a sip of your drink. That's a fine.
Well, I've got tea here, believe it or not, because your wonderful weather has finally decided to come up to our place.
There we go.
Before I go to the next question, I actually wanted to ask you, when was your first stadium experience as a fan?
So,
and where?
I remember this I'm going to cast the normal school games and things aside, because it was for my 18th birthday. I think it was 2010 or 2010. I stand corrected. It might be 2009 or 2010. The Springboks, I think, played against Uruguay or someone in East London. I can't remember. I just remember they were coming to town in East London, and that's what I wanted for my birthday. So my birthday present was a ticket for me and for 3 friends. So that was my birthday present, to go watch the Springboks at Buffalo City Stadium. So that was my first stadium. So I remember they even erected like extra stands because the whole of East London was there. Probably drove from, I don't know, Queenstown, Fort Beaufort. Everyone came to watch the Springboks. And then I remember the scoreboard, because I think they scored 103 or something. So the scoreboard couldn't go into the triple numbers. So it was just 03 and then the other score. I would never forget that. So that was my first one. And I remember it was my birthday present. Wasn't even the best of seats in a sense, is that we were in one of the a newly erected stands, was behind the poles, so it wasn't like op your half lane, in the middle of it. And I remember staying till the end, because then the Springboks like did a lap of honor, and Piers was there, so I was like, yeah, I was freaking out. But it was an awesome day. It was a really, really awesome day.
And then obviously you've gone to Newlands. You must have gone quite a lot of times. How was that compared to? Because obviously that's chalk and cheese we're talking about now.
Yeah, it was insane. So actually, I think this level of the Springboks to an extent was I was able to go to the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, but it was a soccer World Cup match. So I think in terms of a stadium, that was also an awesome sporting experience, and it's a beautiful stadium. Like, it's just a Sculpey. It's beautiful. Yeah. That's actually where I did my Lady Rugby audition as well, but I'm sure we'll get to that. Yeah. So Newlands, we were in first year, and then we took the train from Stellenbosch to Newlands, and then because my friend was was Crusaders obsessed, as they are in Cape Town. A white girl from East London was obsessed with Daniel Carter, the Crusaders. So they were playing. They were playing. Okay, fair enough. So they were playing, and Sonny Bill Williams. So they were playing at Newlands. So that was it was amazing. And I remember we had the donuts. The donuts are legendary at Newlands Stadium, Rugby Stadium. So I had my first donut. Yeah, it's really lekker. I don't know what the secret is. Maybe it's the vibe that injects some special sauce into it. But I mean, I love the donuts. And it was an awesome day. We were actually on the halfway line because she was so obsessed. She bought tickets like way beforehand. So we had some nice seats. It was and also like the taste of Cape Town, like the gees wat jy het, like, the Cape Town fans and then the Crusaders fans. I never knew the divide was so big until I watched that game and experienced that vibe.
Ridiculous. Yes.
Yes, and the slurs, the Alapakar, man. It was fascinating. It was
especially in Cape Town.
It was so colourful.
I went to watch. I've actually went to a few All Black games, Springbok All Black games, but the one that stood out from that perspective, like, I don't want to say Cape Crusaders, but the local All Black supporters, was when we played them. I can't remember the year now, but it was the second time we played them at the FNB Stadium, Soccer City.
Oh yeah.
And that day was like an eye opener for me. I was pretty shocked. I don't want to say horrified, but I was shocked to see the amount of.
It's hectic. It's hectic.
It was. I mean, they were coming in like taxi buses, minibus buses, as
for another country.
Yeah, it is. It was quite sad, but I mean, you know what? You kind of like, well, it's what it is, and
it's insane, and you don't realize it until you witness it in that environment. Like, you always hear about it. Yeah.
I think Cape Town's on another level though. If I have to guess, because I haven't been to a game at Newlands.
Yeah, then it's sports. It divides.
So I think it's just on another level when you go and watch that game at Newlands. I mean, just on that note, you mentioning this donut thing, and it's funny because I heard about it the other day for the first time, and now when you mention, I was like, okay, so this is obviously something. It would be interesting to know now. No. I heard it. I can't remember. It wasn't in an interview, but somewhere along the line, I heard someone. Literally now in the last 2 weeks, I heard about it as well. Somewhere.
Wow, you see, it's a thing.
And now that you mention it, I mean, it just brings me to the kind of funny that a donut brings me to this question. But the whole situation about Newlands going, going to be taken down. We don't know if there's even going to be another rugby match this year at Newlands. So yeah, is the donuts going to go with to Cape Town Stadium or not? That's a good question.
I hope so. I hope so. That'd be some job creation for here at the Greenpoint Cape Town Stadium. So I hope that at least some of those guys can come across to this side of the world. Yeah, I mean, I've been actually fortunate enough during this lockdown. It's felt that some of the players have been a bit more open and personal. Compared to how they usually are. So it's been nice. I've been able to do a few IG Lives, Q&As like you have during this time. And specifically Dylan Lades and Chris van Sale, both of them obviously, diehard Stormers, and now they can't even say goodbye to their home. And then Dylan Lades is also leaving. So, I mean, that's very, very tough. Not being able to play rugby aside, but not being able to say goodbye to Newlands, that's a completely other thing. Yeah. So it's sad.
Yeah. It is very, very sad, actually.
So
let's go back again. Physiotherapy never happened. Biokineticist, whatever you call that thing. Let's get past this. No, call me.
Yeah, I moved on. You need to move on too. Come down.
So, what happened next? Was it radio, or what happened in between? I'm trying to fill the gaps here at the moment.
Yeah, so so first year BSc Sports Science. In that time, that was the Lady Rugger competition. Yes. So
I actually didn't know that you were part of that.
But I wasn't. I was like round one, like really, like
there we go.
I was 18 at the or 9. I think I just turned 19 at the time. But I don't know. I've always loved sport. And wanting to be a biokineticist or physio, part of the team was always in sort of in the plans. But I also love talking and I love people and I love the connection that sport brings. So I thought, well, why not? Be the first female presenter in rugby in South Africa. That's like awesome. Let's try it. So my parents were never discouraging. That's why I love rugby, because they never said it was, no, it's the boys watch rugby, the girls go do that. They never, it was just natural. We just watched whatever. So my mom actually drove me. It was a holiday. I think it was the April pass vs break for varsity, whatever. So we were in East London, and PE is about a 3-hour drive from East London. So my mom drove me to PE. All my hopes and dreams packed into the car, and hier gaat ons nou. And then we went to the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, is where they held the auditions for the Eastern Cape. So then I actually think Derek Alberts was a judge, but we'll get to that now.
Yeah,
he was.
He was. So I actually spoke to him 2 nights ago on Loving the Game, and he actually mentioned, the whole process, and that they went to all these different venues. So you're spot on.
Hectic, and he probably doesn't even know. Now I'm playing in his quiz, and he doesn't even know this poor girl is the one that auditioned for me. No, I'm too scared. So but actually I should thank him, because he put me on this path to an extent. So I went to the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. You get your little number like idols, but rugby idols, and then also it was the day that Kate and William got married. So if you weren't auditioning, you were watching this wedding, because we've never seen anything like it. I didn't live in the time of like Diana and that era, so I don't know. So whatever. So we're watching that. So it's weird, the wedding and the rugby. It was very funny. Then went up. You had a little script you had to learn. Cool. Learned the script. Got that down. Talking to a first year student. Yeah, I can learn a script. But also like just this much. So I learned it. Little link. And then you had like a little pre-interview on just a normal video camera, and then you deliver that link. Cool. Then you go into the round with the judges now. So here I am in front of Derek Alberts. I can't for the life of me remember the other 3 judges. But it's beautiful. They were looking at on the suite, so they're looking out on the field. It was beautiful. And then the camera set up, you had a little, and then you get the mic, the iconic Supersport mic. I was like, here we go, Couture. And then I delivered the link. They were like, cool, well done. You clearly can read and deliver that all very nicely. And then they said, okay, so your second part is we're going to put you on the spot. You are in New Zealand for the Rugby World Cup. and you are at the stadium. So we're crossing to you from studio, and you have to give us a 30-second link. Now, immediately blank, because like, what the heck is a link? Like, what the hell is a link? The studio is crossing to me. What the hell is that even? I'm like you completely threw in the deep end. So there I was standing. So then I think Derek was like, okay, we're crossing to Cato Louw from she's in New Zealand, whatever. And then I was like, yeah. And then I was like, hello, the weather is nice. And and then 30 seconds felt like an hour. Like I couldn't get, but they could see. So Derek quickly went, no, it's fine. Obviously Lady Rugger will have to be able to think on her feet and be used to all of this. And is there a way that you could go get some more experience? Is there maybe a campus or community station where you're studying? And I'm like, yeah, I'm studying at Stellenbosch. There's a campus station called MFM. And he's like, great. Go to MFM. Go put in the hours and get some experience in broadcasting. So that's how I started in radio. So when I got back, I immediately sent my CV through, because it's volunteer basis. So you just put in the time, and then we went from there. So it's all Derek Alberts that put me on that path technically.
Oh, wonderful! No, we should tell him the story definitely. That's great. Okay, so then MFM happened, and that was, I mean, what was that? 2010 or 2011?
2011. So probably I only started, I think, because like the process is quite long. So I think I only started 2012 or 2013 at MFM.
Okay.
And then I was there for like 6 years. And in that time, I started working at Prime Media, EWN Sport.
How did that come about though? Because I mean,
this is also a funny story.
Sorry that I'm calling you a girl, but at that stage you were more a girl than
I was a kid.
It doesn't sound right if I call you a lady. I mean, Lady Rugger sounds like something, but anyway, jy verstaan wat ek bedoel.
Ek verstaan.
But I mean, you obviously went to MFM first, and they must have obviously heard you, or somehow your name came out. How did that happen for you to?
So MFM is a community station. So basically, what you put in, you get out. So I just decided. Again, I think that competitiveness came out. Like I had to do well in that arena. So while I was doing my diploma, I was putting in the hours at MFA. So it's all volunteer basis. So you can move up the ranks. You do it over the weekend. You get a show, or you start on a very early morning show from 3 to 6 in the morning. And while you're studying, it's quite hectic because you're a student. Everyone's going out until 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. And hier moet jy nou sit and a show on beat on a community station that probably your mom is streaming from East London. So it's once a week. So I mean, you have to continue with that. But all management, they probably they see and they pick up, and also that's how you filter through the people that don't want to be there. So a person that's not going to commit is going to fall out very, very quickly. So that dwindled down the numbers quite quickly. And then you kind of move on to a weekend show, and that's when I showed interest in sports. At that time, our news and sports department was together, and I never understood that, because for me in my head, sport is alles, and sport is so big, and it's can bring in money. You can sell it. You can watch. Everyone watches it in my mind, but I mean, it's because I'm sports obsessed. So not everyone thinks that way. So I could understand why news and sport were together, but they were. But anyway, I joined the news and sports committee while presenting the little 3 to 6 show. And then from there, I actually had my first trip to Newlands, because then then you were kind of reporter. So it was very exciting. You're the student and now you're a sports reporter. Very exciting stuff. So then I just showed more interest in the sporting side and how I could deliver it and get the message across. So I kind of moved up through the ranks through there, and then what did I do then? Weekend show, and then I managed to get a slot on the co-anchor the Drive show, which is one of our flagship shows, and then co-anchored the Breakfast show, which we actually were lucky enough or privileged enough to be award nominated, national award. We were the best breakfast show in the country in 2016. So awesome. So thank you for the compliments. Thank you.
Streaming in here on the chat. Jeez,
Yes,
wow.
all the compliments. Thank you, guys. Love it. Thank you for listening to MFM 92.6.
And
but
I'm getting some abuse here as well for calling you.
Woohoo!
Not sure if I should call you a lady or a girl or what. Yeah, let's not go there again.
Oh, okay, a dame.
Yeah.
You can just call me Katua, Jock. It's fine. And then did breakfast show, but then I really felt this, and it's probably because of me, but I was like, we need something more. And campus and community station is where you learn and you're allowed to fail and test stuff and push the boundaries a bit, because people aren't as intently looking as they would at a commercial radio station, and there aren't so many rules. So I was like, well, then my one program manager, station manager, came to me and she said, well, so every year you can get a full-time show. For 1 year I did drive, so the next year I did breakfast show, and then you apply again and you kind of apply for the shows you want. But then they said, let's create a new show. Let's create, do you want to create a sports show? And I was like, yes. So Halftime was born. It was, I think it was the only daytime sports show on national radio. It was on 12 till 2 in the afternoons.
That's amazing.
From Monday to Friday. So it was a 2-hour sports show. We got it sponsored. Thank you, Ramble Bags. We got, people, maybe it's because I'm so passionate about it, and it attracted the passionate people as well, but it was a success. So, that's kind of where I think I earned my stripes in the sports sphere to get to the next level, to get to the next step. In that time, John Smythe, the former editor of EWN Sports, him and KFM actually came to our campus station to just have a little chat, also probably maybe secretly scout out some of our talents, because where else do you get your next radio wave of people? So you go to campus community stations.
Yeah.
So he was there, and I didn't even know there was a whole sports department at KFM. I had no idea. So then this man stands up and says, he's a sports editor. I'm like, bing, my ear go. I'm like, I want to know what this is. So then afterwards, I go to him and ask, you maybe have like shadowing opportunities. Can I see what you do so I can implement it at MFM? Because at that time, I was also the sports editor at MFM. So we had our own team. So then finally, news and sport was separate. So we had our own little sports team. Where some of your colleagues at the moment were part of, Lee, Wesley, Nick, all of them, were part of that sports committee. So it was very a gees groepie. And then from there, I went to shadow. Literally, I had no intention of working because I wanted to make what I have at MFM a success first. So I had no intention of going anywhere by that time. But then I shadowed John Smythe for a bit, and then months later, I got an email, do I want to come in for a meeting? And I was like, yeah, cool. And he's like, no, we want to offer you the weekend sports anchoring slot because we have a freelance spot available and we would like to extend it to you. I was like, so that's how I got into the commercial sports radio base. Yeah, that was a very long story.
No. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So obviously, I just need to get my bearings here. KFM, and which is the other one, not MFM?
KFM, Cape Talk, and then
Talk. Now, Cape Talk.
So that's a radio. That's in Cape Town.
Cape Talk is part of Prime Media, right? Not KFM.
Yeah. So Prime Media has 4 stations. It's 702, 947, Cape Talk, and KFM. Yeah, part of Prime Media Broadcasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're actually together. So for those that don't know, I know Prime Media and call it Mnet or DSTV or whatever, they've actually got a very good relationship. I don't know if that played a role in you getting on TV, but take us through that. Well, I mean, obviously you didn't, that's not how it happened, but how did you then eventually get onto, get back to television, if I can call it that? Because, I mean, obviously you tried out for Lady Raga and it didn't work.
Gone full circle.
Yeah, I mean, the idea probably left your mind at some stage, or after Lady Raga. It's like, oh, well, it didn't happen. Life goes on. Got into radio, and then at some stage, something must have happened. What was that? And how did it happen? Or how did the opportunity come about?
When you, I don't know, when people ask you where you want to be, and usually they do, at campus station, they ask you because then the next generation or next trainee group will shadow the people that are currently working full time. So every 6 months, the trainee would ask me, like, while they're in studio all quiet, watching what you pressing all the buttons, presenting, and then they ask you where do I want to be one day? Because obviously campus station is a road to somewhere. Like, it's not the final destination. Yes. Like you would go to a training or academy and go to the next year. So I would always say super sport. I want to be at super sport. Always said that. Didn't have any clue how I would get there. I had no idea. Someone asked me, and it was a commercial at KFM actually. I think it was John. He's like, "Do you know anyone at super sport?" I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "Okay, cool, but you do." He's like, "You do you." He's like, "Cool." So it was always a dream of mine because it's such a big platform, and I grew up watching it, and I knew it's super sport, man. So I always wanted to work there. I had no idea how I was going to get there. I just knew I had to keep building my experience, as the one and only Derek Albert said. So I was just building, getting experience, learning how to think on my feet, what content, how to work with a producer, how to cut clips. It sounds stupid, but it all works now. When you cut audio, or when we did our little thing for Super Rugby, I could say, but Jock, daai klikkie so lekker nie, nee. En dan gaan jy, no, it doesn't. But so you're not standing there clueless. Daar's 'n bietjie wat ek weet. Yeah. So I was just building. And then in 2016, I think SuperSport had another edition, but this time for Varsity Cup presenters. So I was like, yes. So that was a once-off audition. It was only one day in Joburg, and it was at the multi-choice there at the studios. So I just scraped some money together. I asked my dad, luister, Papa, hier's my biker. You see, Paul, how much? No, I'm joking. So he sponsored me a plane ticket, so I flew up to Joburg, and then we even booked a guest house there close to the studio, so I could be on time for the auditions the next day. And then I just went there, super nervous. Saw Mart. I think Scott was actually one of the judges as well, and Paul and Tola X was there as the like person doing the example of how you should do it. So right, and then I got it, and then they picked 4 of us, and now I'm still here. I'm still there.
Oh, wow. So how was that moment? How was that moment when you got told, "Listen, you've made it," or you in the final 4? Now the next step is to put you in front of, you're gonna go
like live
now. I mean, what was that moment when you finally realized, well, geez, I'm getting an access card or whatever? I don't know if you got an access card initially.
No, funny enough, I only got, I did actually get it, but I never was able to use it because I wasn't in Joburg enough, because we obviously were flying, like wherever the game was, we were always on location, never at the studio. So last year was the final year that I was like, ching, ching, access card. And then sometimes I didn't even want to work. So now I actually work there. But that was quite, we got it. So it was kind of a long process in terms of, you did the day auditions, and then you left, and then they were told us they'd let us know. And then, the wait, I think, was almost a month, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And in that time, I was also busy planning half time, because that's when we started putting half time together. So it never really leaves your mind, but it sort of left my mind because I was so focused on the other thing. We had our a team weekend away. A weekend away with the like an end of year thing with all the MFMers, and then and it's usually a very rove aand. There's a lot of and stuff the evening before. So the day we drove back to Stellenbosch, I think we were in Hermanus. I don't even know where we had booked, because it's kind of team building, but it's also like a kuier. So we drove back and then to Stellenbosch, and that was a hoofpynkie. There was definitely it was bietjie seer in my mind after that evening. So I wasn't really wakker, wasn't really awake, but then I had to go to a meeting, because then we were also planning for Varsity Cup from a Marty's perspective. So I was also interning for Varsity Sports at that time, and we were planning the year ahead. MCs, what activations are we going to do, etc. So I was on my way to this meeting from this very weird evening. And then I got this call in the middle of the meeting, and I was like, I don't recognize it, but then I left. I was like, sorry guys, sorry. Also an excuse to go to the toilet. But anyway, I answer this, and it's Wilson, my director at Supersport, one of the younger directors. But he starts off with like, we called you 10 times, because there was a lot of missed calls. And I was like,
Ooh.
I'm sorry, I was in a meeting. But I really felt bad. I was like, I'm sorry, I was in a meeting. And Wilson, if you don't know Wilson, he's very unemotional on the phone or like, you don't know his facial expressions. You don't know what he's thinking. So he was like, so we called you 10 times. And I was like, I'm sorry, who is this? And then he's like, no, we want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, cool. You're like, what? Like, cool. Who can I help? And he's like, no, do you want to work for Supersport? And I was like, huh? And at first I was like, this must be a prank, man. No one does that. Yeah. No one gives you a job like that. No one pranks you, but it's not a prank. And then he's like, no, you are one of the final 4, and we would like to be part of the Supersport team. And I was like, I couldn't, like, it was too much going on at once. I didn't know what to think. I was at the Donny Craven, funny enough. So it was like, I was just sitting down like, what just happened? And then he's like, no. And then he said, no, we liked what you did in the audition. We liked that you bilingual, which I didn't even think was a strength, but it is. Being bilingual. And we thought you could think on your feet. You had I can't even remember what he said. Usually you remember the compliments. I didn't remember any of it. And he just said, yeah, you're going to be added to a group now. And then we go from there. So that's how I heard I got a job that's how I got my dream job, basically.
And then you went back into the meeting. Did you stop?
I was like this. I was stunned. I did stop the meeting. Thank you for asking, Jock. I just went in and I was like, guys. And then everyone was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm working for Supersport now. Yeah, I'm working for Supersport now. I need to leave this meeting because I'm really important. Okay. I was very... Because the irony is now I couldn't be part of the planning of the stuff anymore. So literally that was my last as an intern for Varsity Sports as well. So it was very, it was a weird day, but I didn't, it was awesome.
That's amazing. No, that's really, really cool. Okay, so, I mean, obviously, so Varsity Cup was the beginning of it all for you, basically, from a television perspective. And, I mean, what year was that, by the way?
I think my first Varsity Cup with Supersport was 2017. That was my first season. It's when I think Marty's lost to Tuks Pretoria, and then they did and they've not lost since.
Yeah, they haven't lost since. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
You had to just bring that in, but anyway.
Yes,
so
it's a fact, guys.
Well, speaking of Quinton again, he's actually got a question. As a presenter with the Varsity Cup, what was one of your most memorable matches you attended? Quinton, I can probably answer that for you anyway. Any Marty's game is the answer.
Guys, I will tell you why. It's just there's like, I'm just so connected with them. And I think at Varsity Cup, I think I'm lucky I can get away with being a bit biased behind the scenes. Because I know obviously like the more level up, hopefully will go. More, neutral have to be. So I think with Varsity Cup, there's a big yes and big so yes. I will always be a Marty. My first rugby match at Stellenbosch was a Donny Craven Marty's match. I don't even remember who they played. I just remember there were 16,000 people, and I could not believe on a Monday night, almal is hier om rugby te kyk. Without them even, maybe it was for the beer, maybe it was for the burgers, maybe it was for the boys. I don't know, but they were there. They had, if you weren't there, you had FOMO. And I just thought it was absolutely fantastic to see everyone there for sport. So yeah, that was my first one. But I mean, as a presenter, probably the first time Marty's won at the Donny Craven since the first time they won after that Tuks game, because they had 2 losses. The year before it was against Picker, 9-6 game. Oh, horrible. At the Donny Craven. I've never heard a stadium go that quiet in my life. So in a sense, that's also very memorable. Not necessarily a good memory, but it's a memory. So yeah, definitely the one where they won. I think it was 18. But it must be. It's just because we were in the middle there. I was at the Donny Craven. It was just, and I think everyone also ran onto the field for the first time. I don't think that's ever happened. And like 16K people just ran onto the field. It was just so. And then Zolani still did the national anthem. Yeah, it was just. I can't even tell you exactly what happened. It was just beautiful.
Ah, that's awesome. Tell me, so I mean, Varsity Cup was you did a lot of that, and you did a lot of, well, I won't say a lot of, but you were involved with Craven Week Rugby. Pretty much, let's say you were involved with the junior rugby on television, if we can call it that. And then I don't know if it was last year before the World Cup.
Last year it kind of changed, yeah.
Yeah, the game basically changed. You got, let's call it another break, and went to another level. And I mean, yeah, I think it's fair enough to say things changed quite a bit for you. I think you really went into, started playing with the big boys, if you can use that term. Started doing In Touch, and obviously the World Cup happened, which was awesome.
Yes, which helped, eh?
Yeah, I mean, geez, what a way to make your big break, if I can call it that, almost. I mean,
yes.
In Touch must have been. I saw a few of the episodes that you.
Thank you, Jocks. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you work at SuperSport, you watch sport. I mean, that's the joy of it. And yeah, but I mean, I saw a few episodes. That you did. I mean, because obviously In Touch is mainly online, but they changed it after a while. And in that same evening, you could watch it in the evening. I think it's a Thursday night or something like that. I mean, you had some great. That must have been. I mean, that must have been awesome for you, because now suddenly you're meeting all these. I remember one episode. Yes, I hope I'm going to be right, because at one stage they were. 1 week it was you, 1 week it was Lala.
Yes,
1 week
there was a bit of difference. Yeah, it was a bit of a transition period.
Did you do the episode with Beast?
No, that was Lala, I think.
Yeah, you see. Okay, but I remember I saw a few of the stuff, because you had all these funny stuff that you guys would do sometimes with the players, like put a hand in a box and guess what's in there, and all these weird stuff. I mean, how was that when you now suddenly got to meet these legends and great Springboks and stuff for you? Because I mean, obviously doing Varsity Cup, you got the odd one that came and watched the game that you could interview, but now suddenly you were like, this is what I'm doing. That's not Varsity Cup anymore.
Yeah, and also it's a difference having a quick because I don't think people always realize TV. Yeah, halftime chat for you sitting at home is like, like maybe feel like it drags because you want to get back to the game. So it feel, it's there. It's always there. But for us, it's like 3 questions. That's it, basically, we get. Unless, and then it's ads, and then it's back to the break, and then it's highlights, and then it's this, and then everything happens very quickly. So the guest comes, and then the full manager organizes, the guest comes. So if it's a Springbok or whatever, they'll be there, ready, standing, and then you sort of engage with them, but also you're trying to listen to when the director's coming to you. So you're trying to, so you can't really have a chat with them.
Not right. You're listening more to the background than what they're saying.
Yeah, and you're trying to pick up and stuff and whatever, and you have obviously prepped, and if if you watch rugby, you know what's going on. So I mean, it kind of helps. It feeds into that, but it's very quick. So the moment goes by quickly, and for the players as well. I mean, they quickly. I mean, what's another interview for them? Nothing next to a field. Like it's like, so now having be in studio for, let's say, 20 minutes, it was like, what do I do? Like it's a long time, but at least coming from radio, you know how to prep and put together and form a storyline, and obviously there's stuff that getting produced thanks to all our awesome camera crew at SuperSport and the producers and stuff. There's nice footage that comes through and put together and packaged. So I mean, and then there's questions coming through from you guys watching, so that's very nice as well. But I mean, it's like it's literally the next level. And I remember it actually happened quite quickly. I think Alma was at the Cricket World Cup, and then Lala was sick. So then I was the third. third replacement, or I think they were just, but that's your gap. That's how this industry works to an extent. Is like you have to be ready for when that gap comes. And and I was lucky enough. I got the call. I think it was a space of 24 hours. I was on a plane the next morning, and then on my way to the multi-choice glorious city to go and host a show on SuperSport. So it was awesome. And I think actually my first guest was a corner, because which was nice because we worked together on Varsity Shield and Varsity Cup. He was a commentator or a contributor.
Okay.
So we sort of had like we knew each other, which helped for the first one. And then I think the second one was Warren Whiteley, and then I had Scott Burger. Yeah, wow. Warren Whiteley was awesome. And the Scott Burger was, and I remember that's when I first got my first critique online. I remember someone took a photo of me interviewing Scott on the TV and posted on Facebook and said, "Who's this chick? She's really, she's really like." It was my first, and it was horrible to hear and see because in my mind I had a very comfortable chat with Skulk, and Skulk is nice. He was chatting, and his level of he's not as enthusiastic as and animated as I am, but he's warm and he engages and he's a nice guy. So I thought the chat went really well. So that was my first heavy critique online, and it was a bit. It wasn't lekker. It wasn't. So then I doubted my whole existence and my whole job. I was like, "Am I doing it?" But then that's how you learn as well. You learn to take and roll with the punches, sort of. So yeah. So that showed that you were on the next level now, other level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, Alma, who was hosting Super Rugby on a Monday night with Kobus.
Yes.
Vista and all that. As you mentioned, she went to the Cricket World Cup last year, and that obviously opened another door for you, which was to I don't know what the word is, but to co-host, whatever you want to call it, Super Rugby.
Just be there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't know what you call it. Everybody's there.
It's not a co-host. It's like everyone's there.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, so. I mean, how was that? Now suddenly you weren't just meeting your current players or something. You were amongst some, esteemed guests: Kobus Visa, Brighton Paulse, Victor Matfield. The list goes on. There's quite a few of them that alternate as the show happens.
Swanbull. Always let you know he's there. Jean de Villiers. Jonathan McQueen.
How was it being the only girl, between these giants?
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm short. So firstly, just from a physical perspective, was like all these like massive dudes just around. And then even when I wore heels, I was still not even close to their level of height or whatever. But it was. But again, the build-up helped. Like it helped that I worked in Varsity Cup because at that time we also got to work. Some of the panelists was some of these guys already. I worked with Brayton quite a few times before that, so that helped. But I mean, being in studio is so much different to being next to the field, which is completely. It feels so rustig and quiet to an extent because you have one person speaking. And then you have Kobus and but you have to obviously look into the right camera. And now I had an iPad, which I never had, or a tablet, which was I felt very cool. Like I was in control of your comments. So no more nonsense comments. No, I'm joking. I filtered through all of them. Filtered through all the nice ones and ugly ones. But it was.
That's why you're not on the screen anymore. If Quentin was wondering why his comments aren't being shown on Super Rugby anymore. No joke.
I do apologize. I can't always see the names. And also, Jock, you know this. I don't understand why people try and freaking call us on the tablet. What am I going to do? I'm going to answer this freaking clip and stand there and answer the phone while Kobus is having a conversation with someone else. What am I going to do? Come on, guys. Don't call a WhatsApp number on a show. Just a little tip. Don't do it. So it was, Kobus was he's a gentleman. He was very nice. To be honest, I didn't really see I know I'm a girl, but I didn't feel like I was a girl between them. It felt very natural, and everyone had banter and everyone was normal. I didn't feel out.
Yeah.
And I guess it helped that I knew some of the guys going in, and by that time having worked with some of them already. But it is intimidating because guess what? They're all professional rugby players. I was not. So, I mean, that already puts you kind of like, but I mean, you just work harder. Then you make sure your research is done, you watch enough games, just back yourself, I think. So, but it was fun. I think it was more fun. I actually didn't tell anyone I was debuting that one evening. I think it was actually on the 27th of May. Do you know that, Jock? So on Tuesday, 27th May was my debut on Super Rugby.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And today's the 26th. So it's like a whole year ago. Literally.
You should have planned it better.
No, but you see, it was old Lee Davidson that told me on his, he's like, oh, it's your debut. You made your debut this week. And I was like, huh? I forgot. So thanks to all the friends for the memories. But yeah, it was nice to be there and be part of it, and also see kind of your career pan out. Also, it's just the start again. It's not it's just another thing, you like a stepping stone, and now you have to graft there. So all part of it. It was very fun.
So where do you see yourself going to next? Or what would you like to see? Where would you like to see your television career going because you've grown. I mean, it's fair enough to say you've grown.
Yeah.
And you're still going to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one thing working in television, it's fair to say, you've only been there for 3 or whatever years now.
Yeah, I'm still a baby in the industry, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I know, I've been at SuperSport this year now 10 years, and you know what?
Happy anniversary.
It was in April, but so much for the timing of lockdown. I was looking forward to celebrating my 10th year, and then I had to sit at home, and it's like, oh, really? This is not cool. But anyway, and one thing I've learned or noticed is that, the longer you in it, you never, or the moment you think you know everything, then suddenly you learn something new. And I'm sure you've seen that, especially now, being so young in the industry, you learn a hell of a lot more. And then, the longer time goes, you'll still learn, but the gaps will be bigger. That's why I want to ask you, what is your aspirations? If I can, let's put it that way, rather, not where do you see yourself go, but what is your aspirations? What would you like to, would you want to be the next, well, not in that sense, but would you want to become like the next Motsidisi, for instance? I can't think of other examples. Maybe there's something else. Maybe you want to go into other sport. I don't know.
Yeah. I would really like to, as you said, continue learning, and I want to be like a sponge for at least the next, like, forever. Because they say it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. So I know the work is only just started. So I just like to continue growing. I would like to be known in this field as I wouldn't say an expert, but as that I know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I want to be respected in the field. Keep the door open for the next, whether it's women or men who are coming through. But obviously, I'd like to see a few more girls come in and actually know what the hell they're talking about. Everyone wants to be on TV, but you don't. You need to be able, like, sport. That's the thing about sport. If people can pick up very quickly if you don't know what you're talking about. So that's my advice to any girls who really want, and maybe you have a passion for sport, or maybe you're going to learn about it and do it, but know what the hell you're talking about. And then, I would like to anchor. Obviously, the next one would be anchor a Super Rugby match, be in studio, anchor a Springbok match, and then also I would really like to do a tour with SuperSport. Like let them send me, I don't know, wherever, to a World Cup or to an Olympic Games even. I think that's the next one. And naturally, in the next 20 years, I would love to have my own show, like the Oprah of sport. I want to sit down, chat with the guys or girls, and just get that human side of them out. Because sometimes they come across as these gods, as I said, Pierce Peace vibes, like earlier on. Like, they come across like that. They don't come across as human, and I like that side as well, because being a rugby player is their job, but they're also human, and
yes,
I love to get more of that out. Yeah, but that's 20 years. So 10 years, definitely anchor a few Springbok matches, maybe do a couple of World Cups and Olympic Games, and then we'll hopefully I want my own show. How's that?
That's awesome.
It's the wine talking.
That's well, that's really, really great. And I mean, I think you've done well. I mean, you've done really, really well. Just listening to your story,
Thank you,
and I think this is what I've envisioned when I started this thing, is to get to know the people and understand where they've come from. And I mean, I've learned a lot tonight, hearing your stories. I mean, obviously, didn't know about your Lady Raga experiences and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just just filling all the gaps. Now it suddenly just paints a different picture of, and like you say, I mean, I think you've just touched on it now. A lot of, and this is not gender based at all. A lot of people that want to come into television. Yeah, a lot of people that want to come into television. It's all about just being on camera, and that's not, and it's unfortunately not what it is all about. All the time. And it's not as easy as it looks. I think that's the biggest secret. And the other biggest secret of it all is actually, like you said now, knowing what you're talking about. Yeah. And I mean, just if you can briefly just maybe if you got some tips for someone, maybe someone along the world, somewhere in the world, in South Africa, who knows what, sees this video one day, maybe just even this little part. Just give us some like tips that you can give someone, especially women, because I mean that's something that South Africa specifically lacks, is women in sport.
And I don't know why.
Yeah, it is quite sad if you think about it.
Very sad, because as I was saying, my first experience with a woman in rugby was Renee, who's a physiotherapist. And then after that came the Lady Rugby, but that was my first experience with a woman in the rugby sphere, and she wasn't even a broadcaster. Obviously, then that's why I did Lady Rugby, because now we could relate. There was another. You want to do something. It's nice to see someone you can relate with on a big platform. That's why it's nice to see Mott's doing a thing. Alma, who was Lady Rugby, even Cass and I do all these. It's just relatable. It's not because the men aren't good enough, or super like again. It's just. It's nice to see a lady there. It's nice to see me there as I can relate with you. So that's what's nice. But I think my tips would be, obviously I'm still grafting myself. So I think that's a tip at its first and foremost, is the work does not stop, and it shouldn't stop. You should always keep learning. In terms of the critique, which I've learned how to navigate that specifically, even if in radio or whatever sphere you are in, is you pick 5 people you trust, who you know will be unbiased. And if you need critique, you go to the 5 of them. And then the rest you just cut out, especially in today's day and age with social media. Because I can just, they can come. Again, with that tablet, I've seen some of the WhatsApp comes through while I'm busy with the show. It's not lacquer, but we go on. Yeah, it's not lacquer. But I mean, people rather comment with a negative thing than a positive thing. That's just what I've learned. So I mean, just accept that and move on. So if you need feedback, whatever, pick a few people you trust and just go to them. So then you'll cut out the noise, and then then you can continue focusing. And then also, if you're just starting, campus radio, community radio is the perfect platform to start. Don't underestimate that. And don't think it's going to happen in a month, 2 months, 4 months. It took me 6 years to get into a commercial spot on radio. And that wasn't TV even yet.
Yeah.
So it's going to take time. I also think in today's day and age with social media, and you can get an instant like, you can go viral instantly. You think, I know how to work a studio. Why aren't I famous yet? Or why don't I have a commercial show? And no, bold. There are exceptions, but I mean, you don't work. That's an exception for a reason.
Yeah,
so
true.
I don't even know how many tips I give now, but and just have fun and know what the hell you're talking about. Really, really. Like, just go read. The amount of prep I do for a simple thing, even like Super Rugby, on a Monday evening is insane, because you just go read, consume, watch the New Zealand. I always watch the breakdown from New Zealand, the show. Like watch different streams, listen to podcasts, just consume your passion basically, and then that'll help with your bringing out your passion on a bigger platform. And yeah, that's basically what this is. Just good
yeah, but it's cool. Yeah, man, bye donkey. Thanks so much. I mean, it's really, really cool. Yes, I think we could easily go on for another hour, because I mean, you're actually so passionate about sport. It's not we've actually just spoke about rugby now for an hour, and I mean, the harsh reality of it all is that you're not just a rugby girl or a lady supporting rugby. I mean, I know you are Roger Federer fanatic of note. You were lucky enough to meet him. Now, when they came and played here in South Africa, him and Rafa, I saw the pictures that you had. I mean, I saw it back then when it actually happened, and I mean that must have been a hell of a moment for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry to all the Springboks that I've met over the years and whatever, but that was the moment. That was like since I was like little, like I don't know how old. Roger Federer made his debut in 1999. And since then, my dad has watched Federer, and since then I've watched Federer. So, I mean, it was just this childhood hero right in front of me. And I was there like in a legit capacity. I was a sports reporter for EWN. I wasn't there as a fan. I was like a legit sport. That made it even cooler. But then, obviously, I had my fangirl moment. I wasn't supposed to take a photo, but I did. But YOLO, I don't know. I did it. No one will got the photo.
So what? And even if they find you, you got the photo still.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. You can't delete it. I have it. And it's on iCloud. It's in the cloud. Stop it. You can't do anything.
There you go. Just out of out of interest, what other sports interests do you have?
Like Olympic Games, I remember since I was little, I think Athens was the first theater one I can remember. I sat in front of the TV and I watched every single sport. And when the paper, my mom and them would buy the paper, I'd cut out all the action photos and I'll pluck them off my book. Like I can't pick a specific one. At school, I played tennis, I played water polo, I did netball, and I did drama. Funny enough, so I was a serial competitor in a sense that I liked being part of things. I wanted to compete. I was never the best in any of them, but I loved being part of a team. And I think the sports bug is kind of obvious. Like, I was actually a bit aggressive, especially with water polo. They called me the little assassin.
Oh, really? Did you use your nails?
No, I was subtle. So obviously you're pedaling above the water. So I don't know why I can't even remember the positions, but I was at the back. So then it would, obviously water polo girls, they're twice my size, but muscle, bigger than me. So then I had to find ways. So then I would just hook my finger on the side of their costume. So then when they kicked off, then they couldn't kick because then I had them, but no one could see above the water. So I was just like, hey. But that's the only trick I had.
Oh, yes, that's really, really cool. Listen, thank you for your time. It's been really, really awesome speaking to you and getting to know you, actually. I mean, it's funny how like we mentioned earlier, we colleagues in a way, even though, I mean, if I do see you, it's once a week and like literally briefly. And I mean, you don't get time to get to know people that you work with. And most of all, people that I, get to know on social media and stuff. And you mentioned briefly, Derek Albert's quiz that we take part in every Tuesday now during lockdown. It's been awesome.
So fun, guys, if you take part.
I mean, they launching that thing tomorrow night with Rasi, where it's actually going to be very, very cool, I think. I think it's a brilliant concept they've got there. And I mean, it's just nice getting to know more people. And finding out who these people actually are, especially, I mean, I've taken the sports angle, and because, like
why not?
Sport is my thing, So, I mean, I'm not a foodie or something like that, so sorry about that. But we all have our passions in life, and it's nice just getting to know random people from nowhere in the world, and just delving in and finding out who they are and making a bit of a connection of some sorts there. So thanks for your time tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor, and like, it's my very first time I've been on a YouTube or a live stream as a guest. So it's an absolute pleasure. Cool. And thank you for having it. Yeah, so see you another first. So it's awesome.
No, that's really, really brilliant, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. When
I hope so too. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, it's got to happen now. So we need to get out of our cages for once and just live normal again, whatever normal's going to be going forward. But thanks for your time.
Props to you, Jock, for navigating this social media space and actually using it during this time, and also getting on it very quickly. Because I know you start. I know you had this channel. But I mean, during this time, you were very quick to get some big names on it and get some nice stories. And I know you even interviewed Derek Hoogaard. I mean, well done to you for actually using this space and not waiting and actually using it. So
no, thank you. You can only wash so much dishes and so much washing, and and then sanity leaves. So I had to find a way of doing something, and
no, I've got it live. I need to go. Sorry, I can't do the dishes now. I've got an interview.
Thank you so much once again. It's really, really been a pleasure having you. And
thanks, Jock.
And look forward to seeing you again soon, in person, as always.
Yeah.
Have a nice evening and stay safe.
Thank you, Jock. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.